Hello and welcome to Minnie's top 2 wrestlers of the year. At number 2, we do have Will freaking Ospreay, bruv. 2023 has been a beautiful year for Will Ospreay matches. He basically has a 5-star match every single week. Every promotion he touches, every match he has at whatever promotion is already immediately a match of the year contender. It's immediately a 5-star match. We can talk about Ospreay versus Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom. We can talk about Ospreay versus Kenny 2. We can talk about Ospreay versus Mike Bailey. We can talk about Ospreay versus Naito. We can talk about Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. The list goes on. He is a wrestler who loves to wrestle, which is why he signed to All Elite, because that is where he can be a wrestler. Outside of his in-ring skills, when it comes to his promos, I feel like he blurs the line between heartache and determination. He tells you how he feels. He tells you why this match is important and why wrestling at this stadium, all in Wembley, is important to him. He takes you on this emotional roller coaster and then hits you with a bruv, and then you realize it is freaking pro wrestling that we are watching. It is not a telenovela. He is All Elite going into 2024, and I cannot wait to see MJF versus Will Ospreay. And speaking of MJF, MJF takes the #1 spot as Wrestler of the Year. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. This is a beautiful year for me because my 2 favorite wrestlers are Will Ospreay and MJF, and it's so beautiful to actually have them as top 2 wrestlers of the year, not just because they're your favorites, because when you're talking about top wrestlers of the year, you do have to think about the work they did in that year. And I am just so blessed in 2023, just like a lot of us wrestling fans have been blessed with both WWE, AEW. They've been cooking up fire matches, promos, segments, character work, storylines, everything. And when it comes to Maxwell Jacob Friedman, he started off the year as a heel. He started off the year as champion because he did get the title back in November 19th. So he has held the title for more than a year. But he did start off the year as a heel. He started off as a champion who doesn't necessarily want to wrestle every week. I was always the person to say, if he turns babyface, watch him wrestle every single week. And not only did he transition from being the top heel to one of the top baby faces in all of pro wrestling, top babyface in AEW. Sometimes he does act like a tweener. I don't really know if he's a tweener or a full straight babyface. So calling MJF a part-timer at the beginning of the year, towards the middle of the year, that's funny, ha ha ha, but he was still there every single week. He was still delivering fire banger promos. He was delivering funny segments with Adam Cole, and that took the AEW audience into an emotional roller coaster because we didn't know if MJF was going to turn on Adam Cole. We didn't know if Adam Cole was going to turn on MJF. And now there's a devil storyline, which is probably going to be Vince McMahon. If you haven't seen that video on who I think is the devil, go watch it over here. Outside of his character work in AEW, he delivers a 100% satisfied experience to the fan base. When he was heel, he stayed heel. He was flipping off little kids, and then he'd be interviewed asking, why do you flip off little kids? And MJF is so brilliant with his responses because he says, well, nobody records what happens before. And you think he's going to say, oh, well, I do make sure that I do tell the parents, oh, this is just a part of a character. No, he doesn't say that. He says, well, you should have seen the kids before. They were acting like little shits. Now, when it comes to his mic skills, I think he's a word savant. He has a great way of putting things over. If you can get an ADD chant over with an AEW crowd, you know what you're doing. Whoever MJF goes up against, it's going to be a fire rivalry. If you're going against somebody with the likes of MJF, who is pretty good on the mic, who is exceptional with his character work, you have to elevate yourself in a certain way. Even with the veterans, such as CM Punk, Chris Jericho, you never felt like MJF was being overshadowed. He's had one of the best Iron Man matches. He's had one of the best dog collar matches of all time. He had one of the best Fatal 4-Way matches of AEW history. Not only was the 4-pillar story MJF's idea, he also pretty much carried it. And it was a prime example of who the true star of the four pillars is. He can end a match with a headlock takeover, have a crowd reaction. He can get something over like a kangaroo kick, have them chanting kangaroo kick. He can get a holy shit chant off a suicide dive. And this is why MJF is Mini's 2023 Wrestler of the Year. MJF is a three-dimensional talent and he's better than you, baby.